Okay, so let's dive right in, shall we? Today we're taking a deep dive into Meta's, Facebook, their fourth quarter 2024 earnings release.
Always an interesting one.
Yeah, right. So, big picture, Meta ended 2024 on a high note. They're reporting like some seriously impressive
I
numbers.
was looking over the report earlier.
I know, right? Just to give you a taste, they pulled in, wait for it, $48.385 billion in revenue just for Q4.
Yeah, that's a 21% increase year over year.
That's huge. And hold on, get this. Their total revenue for all of 2024 hit $164.501 billion. That's a 22% jump from the year before.
It really makes you think about how they're managing to juggle all these different innovative projects while their advertising business is still chugging along.
It's true. They're clearly not just sitting back and counting their cash. They're pushing hard with investments in AI, those Ray-Ban Meta glasses everyone's talking about, and of course you can't forget the metaverse.
That's what's grabbing my attention, really. This balancing act they've got going, 22% revenue growth for the whole year. That's not some small feat. It says something about their strategy.
Right.
They're finding ways to keep their core advertising business humming while pouring resources into these potentially game-changing technologies.
Exactly. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of those numbers. For Q4, their operating margin was a solid 48%, and for the whole year, 42%.
It just screams healthy, profitable business.
Absolutely. And their diluted earnings per share for Q4, a cool $8.02. That's a 50% jump from the previous year. And to top it off, they generated $13.152 billion in free cash flow just in Q4.
Wow, that's a lot of fuel for their various projects. It's almost like they're constructing the super advanced spaceship, but they haven't forgotten about, keeping the engine room in tip-top shape.
I love that analogy. It's
That's
so true. They're building for the future, but making sure the present is solid. But, okay, it can't all be about the money, right?
Mm-hmm.
What about the people actually using their platforms?
Oh, absolutely. So looking at user engagement, their family of apps, it just keeps attracting more and more users.
That's good. That's good.
By December 2024, they reached an average of, get this, 3.35 billion daily active people, a 5% increase.
Wow. Okay. That's impressive.
But here's what I find really interesting. Their ad impressions, they went up 6% year over year. But the price per ad, that had a much bigger jump, 14%.
So more ads and they're worth more. What's driving that, do you think?
It could be a bunch of things. Maybe there's just more demand from advertisers because they're seeing good results from their Meta campaigns.
Makes sense.
Or maybe Meta's gotten even better at targeting, reaching the right people.
Right, right.
Or maybe even, they've come up with new ad formats that are more engaging. So advertisers are happy to pay a little extra. It's likely a mix of all these things, but whatever it is, it definitely says something about Meta's ad platform. It's becoming even more appealing to businesses.
Totally. Okay, now let's talk about something that's got me really intrigued, their focus on AI.
It's everywhere they look these days.
Right. It feels like AI is like the backbone of their strategy.
Mark Zuckerberg's been really vocal about his vision for personalized AI experiences. Think about it. A world where your AI assistant isn't just helpful, but really truly gets you. Your interests, how you learn, even your sense of humor.
Yeah, it's a far cry from those basic chatbots we're all used to.
Totally. And they're not just talking, they're walking the walk. Meta AI, their own in-house AI assistant, is already being used by a massive number of people.
How many are we talking about?
Over 700 million every single month.
Oh, wow.
For context, think about the entire population of Europe. That's how many people are interacting with this one AI.
That's mind-boggling. But, okay, what about the future? Where's Meta's AI headed? What's on the horizon?
Keep your eyes peeled for Llama 4.
Llama 4, okay.
This is their next big thing in AI. It's not just another AI, it's multimodal.
Multimodal.
It means it can understand and work with different types of information, not just text. Images, videos, audio, text. It can handle it all.
So you're telling me, I could show Llama 4 a picture of a sunset and ask it to write a song based on the colors and, the mood.
Exactly. And it gets, even wilder. Llama 4 is going to have, wait for it, agentic capabilities. It can actually do things, take action based on what you tell it.
Hold on. So it's not just understanding, not just creating, it's actually doing.
It's moving beyond simply, getting the information. It's going to be able to act on it. It could change how we use AI in like the digital world and eventually even like the real world.
That's just starting to sound like something out of a sci-fi movie. Give me an example. How can we use this agentic AI?
Imagine you tell Llama 4, hey, book me a vacation, and you give it your budget, where you want to go, your dates, and boom, done. It manages your calendar, moves meetings around based on like what's happening. It could even like write code for a website or app following your instructions.
Wow, that's a whole other level of AI.
It's like Meta's aiming to create an AI that's not just an assistant, but like a true partner, like helping you tackle everyday things, but also like big complex projects.
That's incredible. But they're not stopping there, are they? They're pushing even further.
Oh yeah, remember we talked about ambition? They're aiming to build an AI engineering agent that could function, like as well as a mid-level human engineer.
You're kidding, right? An AI that can write software.
Think about what that could mean for the tech industry, you know?
Yeah.
Software development could become faster, more efficient, more accessible. Imagine anyone, no matter their technical skills, could make an app or a website. They just tell the AI what they want.
Yeah, that's a game changer, but, you have to wonder what happens to human software engineers.
Definitely something to think about. The rise of AI in the workplace is a big question, right? It touches on like social and economic stuff we really need to discuss. But from a purely tech viewpoint, Meta's goal is crystal clear. They're not just building a slightly better AI assistant, they're creating a whole new type of AI, one that can radically transform how we interact with technology and how we work.
It's all so exciting, but let's be realistic. This sounds insanely complex and expensive.
Yeah.
How are they managing to pull all this off?
Well, one thing they're doing is like pouring money into custom silicon, specifically these MTIA chips.
MTIA, okay, what's the deal with those?
Think of it this way. Training these crazy powerful AI models takes a ton of computing power. These MTIA chips, they're custom built just for AI, so they're crazy efficient and way more cost effective.
So like building a special engine for that AI spaceship we talked about.
You got it. It's not just brute force. It's about being smart with that power.
Yeah.
These custom chips give them a big advantage, in terms of cost, performance, even their like environmental impact.
Right, yeah. More efficient chips mean less energy use. Good for the planet and for their bottom line.
Exactly. And, it's interesting. Mark Zuckerberg even brought up DeepSeek, that Chinese company that's shaking things up in the open source AI world. He was talking about the need for an American standard for AI, kind of hinting at like the bigger picture of all of this,
Yeah, it's a good reminder that AI isn't just this fun new technology. It's a strategic asset.
Yeah.
It's globally important.
Totally. And Meta's not shying away. They're making it clear they want to be a leader, not just in developing AI, but in setting the rules, the standards.
It's a fascinating world, this whole AI landscape. We've only just dipped our toes in, but before we go deeper into Meta's AI world, I want to switch gears for a bit and talk about something else that's been making headlines. The metaverse.
The metaverse. It's Meta's big vision, for how we'll interact, how we'll entertain ourselves, maybe even work in the future. Bold, ambitious, no doubt about it. But it's also sparked, a bit of skepticism.
Well, yeah, let's be honest. The word metaverse, it's still kind of vague for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly are we talking about here?
Think about it like as a persistent, shared virtual world, a place where people can, interact with each other, experience all this digital content, even create and trade virtual things.
Okay.
It's like they're trying to blend the lines between the real world and the digital world, making online experiences way more immersive.
So are we just talking about like fancy video games or virtual reality?
It's bigger than that. It's
Yeah.
more about creating this like platform where all those experiences can meet and like interact. It's about making a virtual world that feels as real, as engaging as the real world. Imagine you could be at a concert with friends who are like miles away. You could explore ancient Rome. You could collaborate on a project with colleagues in a virtual office, all within this metaverse.
Okay, I can start to see the appeal, especially as tech gets better and these experiences feel more real, more immersive.
Exactly. But building the metaverse is like a massive undertaking. There are hurdles. Like, think about the hardware. Most people experience VR through like those clunky headsets. Expensive, not the most comfortable.
Yeah, I've tried a few, and I can confirm they're not exactly something I'd want to wear all day.
I get it. But Meta and a bunch of other tech companies are trying to create more lightweight, comfortable AR and VR devices.
Okay.
Think like glasses, maybe even contact lenses someday, or, who knows, neural interfaces down the line.
So the idea is we'll be able to like tap into the metaverse more naturally, more effortlessly, not feel like we're strapped into a like Spaceship helmet.
Right. And as the hardware gets better, the software and like the content in the metaverse, that'll evolve too. More sophisticated worlds, more engaging experiences, more ways to connect.
I'm definitely curious to see where this goes, but I'm wondering, where does Meta fit into all this?
They are shifting their focus. They're going all in on Reality Labs, their division that's dedicated to like creating the hardware, the software, all those experiences that will make the metaverse a reality.
And have they had some success with their Ray-Ban Meta AI glasses?
Yes.
Those things are pretty slick. They don't scream VR headset. They look like, normal glasses.
Exactly. And that's the key. If the metaverse is going to take off, it can't feel like, this separate, weird experience.
Okay, so what are Meta's goals for Reality Labs? What are they hoping to achieve?
They want to sell 5 to 10 million of those next generation AI glasses. They're not playing around. They want this tech in everyone's hands or on everyone's faces, I guess.
I like that.
And then, they're still developing their Horizon platform. That's like the core of their metaverse experience.
Tell me more about Horizon. I mean, what can people do there?
It's a virtual world, You make an avatar, hang out with friends, attend events, play games. You could even work on projects together. It's still early days, but they're constantly adding more features, more content.
But is anyone actually using it? Like, I'm not hearing a lot of buzz about Horizon out in the real world.
That's fair. It hasn't really reached that, mass adoption point yet. It still needs, more must-have content. And, the VR hardware itself is still, holding it back a little.
And there's the financial side of things.
Oh, yeah, that too. Reality Labs is still running at a loss, right?
Exactly.
They reported a $4.967 billion operating loss in Q4 of 2024. Building the metaverse is this massive, expensive project, and it's going to take time.
So it's a bit of a gamble for Meta?
You could say that. They're betting big on the metaverse becoming as essential as the internet. But it's a long game, and only time will tell if their vision pans out.
It sounds like the metaverse is a whole bunch of unanswered questions right now. But I'm definitely interested to see how it all develops.
Me too. It's going to be a really interesting space to watch over the next few years. I mean, it has the potential to fundamentally change how we interact with tech, with each other, even with the world around us.
For sure. Okay, so we've talked about growth, about innovation. Now I want to talk about how Meta is dealing with all of that. They're investing tons of money in AI, the metaverse, and their core business. How are they staying on top of costs, making sure they can keep fueling all these projects?
That's a really key point. It's not just spending, it's about smart spending. Meta's being really strategic about managing their costs and how they operate.
So what are some of their key moves to keep those costs in check?
One interesting thing they've done is extending the lifespan of their servers and network equipment to 5.5 years.
Okay, but why is that such a big deal?
It might seem like a small thing, but it has a big impact on their finances. It reduces their depreciation costs. Basically, they can spread the cost of that hardware over a longer period.
Oh, so it's like getting more miles out of your car before needing a new one.
Exactly. And the savings are significant. Just this one move is projected to save them, get this, around $2.9 billion in depreciation expenses just in 2025.
Wow. That's a lot of money they can put back into their other initiatives.
Right. And they're not just focused on hardware. They're being smart about their workforce too. They're being very intentional about who they hire, prioritizing key areas, AI, infrastructure, but keeping growth in other areas more controlled.
So it's all about focusing on where they'll get the most value in the long run.
Precisely. A disciplined approach that keeps them from overspending in areas that might not be as crucial for their future success.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense from a business perspective. But are there other benefits to this, like focus on cost management?
Well, think about the environmental side of things. Extending the lifespan of hardware, it means less e-waste.
Right.
And by optimizing their data centers, they're using less energy. That's good for their carbon footprint.
So it's a win-win.
Yeah.
They're saving money, being more sustainable, and setting themselves up for long-term success.
Exactly. It shows a certain maturity, they're thinking strategically, which is crucial in a fast-moving industry like tech.
This is already giving me such a clear picture of Meta's strategy, and where they stand in the tech world.
It is fascinating, isn't it? They're constantly pushing the boundaries, but also being very mindful of how they're managing everything. They're really positioning themselves for what's coming next.
I'm really looking forward to diving even deeper into some of these topics, especially their AI ambitions and what they're doing with the metaverse. But for now, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Sounds good to me. Welcome back. We've covered a lot of ground, but before we get too deep into AI and the metaverse, I want to bring us back to the core of Meta's business, like the engine that really drives everything, advertising.
Yeah, you're right. We touched on their ad revenue still growing, but we didn't
Yeah.
really dig into how AI is actually like boosting that growth.
It's more than just showing more ads. It's about making sure those ads are the right ones, hitting the right people at the right time.
And that's where the AI magic comes in.
Exactly. A great example is like their collaboration with NVIDIA. They've built this, machine learning system called Andromeda.
Andromeda. Okay.
It's seriously amped up their ad retrieval. They can sift through like millions of potential ads and pick the most relevant ones for each person with incredible accuracy.
So instead of just blasting everyone with the same generic ads,
Mm.
they're using AI to tailor the ad experience, make it more likely that like people will actually be interested in what they see.
You got it. And it's a win-win. Users are less likely to be annoyed by like relevant ads, and advertisers are more likely to get their message in front of the right people.
So they're getting better results.
Exactly. Better return on their investment. But it goes beyond just matching ads to users. Meta is also helping advertisers create more effective campaigns from the get-go. That's where their Advantage Plus suite of tools comes in.
Right. Advantage Plus, I've been hearing a lot about that,
Yeah.
especially about like how it can optimize shopping campaigns. What's the deal with that?
Well, Meta reported that Advantage Plus shopping campaigns brought in a crazy amount of revenue, like $20 billion annually. And that's with a 70% year-over-year growth.
That 50%. Wow.
It really shows you the power of AI in advertising. And it seems like Meta's putting their money where their mouth is because they're actually making Advantage Plus the default for some types of campaigns.
That's a pretty bold move. Like they're saying, hey, our AI is so good, it can probably run your campaigns better than like even the most experienced marketer.
It's a sign of like how much AI is changing the game in advertising. And it's not just automation. It's about giving advertisers the tools to create better, more engaging ad content.
Yeah, like those generative AI creative tools they've been rolling out. Advertisers can like create animations from still images or even generate a bunch of different ad copy variations based on, who they're targeting and what their campaign goals are.
Those tools are becoming super popular. Meta reported that over 4 million advertisers are using their generative AI tools now.
4 million. Wow.
Just 6 months ago, it was 1 million.
That's incredible growth. Shows
Yeah.
that like advertisers are really eager to use these AI tools to, step up their game.
It's a glimpse into the future of advertising, where AI is going to be like front and center, from targeting to creating to measuring how campaigns are doing. It's going to be everywhere.
But this whole thing about AI and data brings up a big question for me. What about privacy? How is Meta making sure they're not being, creepy or invasive with all this data they're collecting and analyzing?
It's a valid concern and one they've been dealing with for years. They've been under the microscope for their data practices, and they have been taking steps to be more transparent and give users more control over their information.
Like giving users the option to see why they're being shown certain ads.
Yes, or to opt out of targeted ads altogether. And they've invested a ton in data security and like technologies that protect privacy, but it's a constant challenge, especially as they like keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI-powered advertising. It's a delicate balance to strike, for sure.
Right.
But finding that balance, between making things personal and respecting privacy, that's going to be key for Meta's long-term success.
Okay, so shifting gears a bit, I want to talk about another area where AI is playing a big role. Meta's push into AI-powered business agents.
This is something I'm super curious about. We've all like chatted with bots on websites and apps, but it sounds like Meta's taking this to a whole new level.
They are. Think about it. Businesses interacting with their customers through AI agents. Agents that can answer questions, give personalized recommendations, handle orders, even like solve customer service problems.
It sounds kind of sci-fi, but you're saying Meta's actually making it happen. It's already happening. They're testing AI-powered agents on WhatsApp and Messenger, and early reports are looking good. Businesses are saying it's saving them time, making customers happier. And from the customer side, they're liking the, quicker responses and the more personalized interaction.
So everybody wins.
Exactly. And as these agents get, like, smarter, they could really revolutionize how businesses and customers interact.
Imagine like an AI agent that can predict what a customer wants before they even say anything, or that can like fix problems before they even become problems.
That's the dream, right? a smooth, personalized experience. And Meta seems to be in a good position to make that happen.
It's exciting stuff.
Hmm.
But creating these AI business agents, that can't be easy.
Oh,
Right?
absolutely. You need to be good at AI and you need to understand like how businesses operate. And that's where Meta's new business AI product group comes in.
Right.
They just brought in Clara Shih to lead it. She's a big name in tech and she's got like a proven track record of building successful AI businesses.
So they're like bringing in a seasoned expert to guide this whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. She's experience is going to be like super valuable as Meta ramps up this area.
It's a clear sign that they're like all in on AI-powered agents, making it a core part of what they offer.
Absolutely. This is a space that's moving fast and it's super exciting to watch. But let's zoom out for a second. Think big picture. What does all this focus on AI mean for Meta's future?
That's a good question. It's clear that AI isn't just a like trendy buzzword for them anymore.
It's the foundation of their whole strategy.
Right.
From ads to keeping users engaged to these like whole new business areas they're exploring.
It's like they're diving headfirst into the AI pool.
Right.
And with all their resources, the talent they have, their willingness to like push boundaries, they're in a really good spot to be a leader in this like AI-powered future.
Yeah.
But as we've talked about, there are, some potential bumps in the road. Privacy concerns, ethical questions, the possibility that AI could be like misused.
Those are all important things to consider as we, step into this new world of AI.
Yeah, totally.
But for now, I want to shift gears a bit and talk about something that's often overshadowed by all the flashier stuff Meta's doing.
Mhm.
Their commitment to like managing their costs and making their operations as efficient as possible.
Right. It's easy to get caught up in all the hype of AI and the metaverse,
Mhm.
but Meta's a business, and they have to be like smart with their money, especially with all the money they're putting into these like future-focused projects.
Exactly. And as we discussed earlier, one of their key strategies is extending the lifespan of like their servers and network equipment, which has saved them a ton in depreciation expenses.
And they've also been carefully managing their like hiring, making sure they're bringing in the right people in the right areas like AI and infrastructure.
Right. That discipline is super important for them to be like sustainable in the long run.
It shows they're not just throwing money at every problem. They're really strategic about like how they're using their resources. But their focus on like cost management, it's not just about saving money, right?
Oh, definitely not. It's also about like streamlining their operations, making them more agile, more adaptable to like the constantly changing world of tech.
How are they doing that?
Well, they've been simplifying their internal processes, improving their developer tools, and really leaning into AI to, automate tasks and make things run smoother across the board.
That makes sense. It allows them to move faster, experiment with new ideas, and adapt to changing market conditions without being weighed down by like unnecessary bureaucracy.
Exactly. And beyond just the business benefits, their commitment to cost management also has a positive impact on their environmental footprint.
Right, we talked about that earlier. Extending the life of their servers means less e-waste, and optimizing their data centers leads to lower energy consumption.
It all adds up, and it's a good example of how sustainability and profitability can actually go hand in hand.
Absolutely. It's about doing more with less, which is good for the company and good for the planet.
Right. But I know we've talked a lot about AI and cost management, but we can't forget about the big one, the metaverse.
Ah, yes, the metaverse. Meta's ambitious vision for the future of social interaction, entertainment, even work. It's caught a lot of attention,
Yeah.
but it's also raised a lot of like questions.
It has. While Meta's put billions into Reality Labs, the division working on the metaverse hasn't really taken off yet, and those financial losses keep adding up. Reality Labs posted a $4.967 billion operating loss in Q4 of 2024.
It's a reminder that this metaverse thing, it's a long game. It takes patience, persistence, and, a willingness to change course along the way. It's not for the faint of heart.
Definitely not. But despite the challenges, Meta's still committed to their vision. They believe that the metaverse will eventually become the next big computing platform, as big as the PC or the smartphone.
You're not the only ones betting on this, right?
No, not at all. A lot of big tech companies are pouring money into virtual and augmented reality. They see the potential in these technologies to change, like everything, how we work, how we play, how we connect with each other.
Yeah, it's like a race to define the future, how we experience the world, how we interact with, information and each other.
And Meta wants to be leading the pack.
But as we've talked about, they're also changing their approach within Reality Labs, putting more emphasis on like wearables, especially AR and AI glasses, alongside their work on Horizon, their virtual world platform. It makes sense considering how well their Ray-Ban Meta glasses have done and how people are like more and more interested in wearable tech.
It's a smart move, I think. AR and AI glasses, they have the potential to like seamlessly blend the digital and the physical. We could have information, entertainment, new ways to connect, all right there in front of our eyes.
Imagine walking down the street and getting real-time info about everything you see, interacting with virtual assistants that pop up in your field of view, even like playing games that overlay the real world.
It's like the possibilities are endless. And Meta's betting that these devices will become as like essential as smartphones are now. Maybe even replace them as our like main connection to the digital world.
It's a bold vision.
It is. But it's achievable if they can solve the technical challenges and, create products that people actually want and can afford.
And they are setting some ambitious goals for those next-gen AI glasses, right?
They want to sell 5 to 10 million of them. That would be huge. It would mean wearables are going mainstream.
And it would put Meta in a great position to like shape the future of this whole wearable tech category.
They could become the big player in AR and AI glasses. But we can't forget about the other side of Reality Labs, the metaverse itself.
Right. Even though wearables are getting more attention now, Meta's still investing heavily in developing Horizon, their platform for like the whole metaverse experience.
Exactly. It's a virtual world where people can like create avatars, hang out, explore all sorts of experiences from virtual concerts to like working together in virtual offices.
Yeah, it's still early days for Horizon.
It is, but they're constantly adding new features, making the visuals better, expanding the content library, all to make it more engaging, more interesting.
So making it a place where people actually want to spend time.
Exactly. They want Horizon to be like the go-to platform for everything in the metaverse. Socializing, entertainment, work, you name it.
That's a big goal.
It is. It's going to take years to get there. And like with any new technology, there are a lot of unknowns, a lot of challenges they'll need to overcome.
Yeah, but Meta seems committed to seeing this through.
They are. They're
Okay.
willing to put in the time and money to make it happen. It's a reminder that sometimes the biggest, most impactful innovations take like real patience and a lot of persistence.
And Meta has shown, throughout this whole earnings report, that they're not afraid to commit to something big.
Absolutely. They're not afraid to take risks, experiment, push the boundaries. And by investing in AI, wearables, the metaverse, they're not just shaping their own future, they're shaping the future of technology as a whole.
It's going to be a wild ride, for sure. I'm
Yeah.
curious to see how Meta continues to, evolve, how they handle the challenges, and how they use their technology to, like, make a positive impact.
Me too. It's a journey with like guaranteed twists and turns, but one thing's for certain, Meta will be at the forefront, driving those next big changes that will affect how we live, work, connect with each other.
And that brings us to the end of the second part of our deep dive. But I think we need to take a closer look at one specific aspect of all of this, the future of work.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's a big one.
I mean, will the metaverse eventually become like the virtual office of tomorrow?
Mhm.
And how will all this AI stuff we've been talking about change how we collaborate, how we get things done?
I think those are the perfect questions to kick off the final part of our deep dive. I'm ready when you are.
Okay, so we've explored their financials, their AI ambitions, the metaverse, but now I want to think bigger, zoom out a bit.
Hmm.
What about Meta's impact on the world, like beyond just the tech world?
It's a big question. Meta's influence, it's huge, way beyond Silicon Valley. Their platforms, I mean, they're everywhere. They affect how we talk to each other, and we get information, even how we like form opinions about the world.
Right. It's easy to forget that Meta's not just a company, it's this global force. And we're seeing like a lot of big shifts happening in the world right now. Rising nationalism, concerns about data and security, even people talking about like more regulation for these big tech companies. How's Meta dealing with all of that?
It's a tough balancing act, right? They have to think about their users, advertisers, governments, and of course, their own business goals.
Yeah.
One example, I think, is how they're approaching open source AI. Mark Zuckerberg, he's talked about creating an American standard for AI. Like he wants to make sure the U.S. stays on top in this tech space.
Yeah, it makes sense. AI isn't just like fun gadgets. It's a powerful tool, important for national security, for like economic competitiveness.
Totally. And it shows how much the competition is heating up, especially from China. Companies like DeepSeek, they're making some big moves in open source AI. It's not just about making money anymore. It's about, like, who controls this technology, who shapes the future of innovation.
It's like a new kind of space race. But instead of rockets, it's algorithms and data.
That's a great way to put it. And just like the space race, this competition has, like, global implications. Meta's choices about how they develop and, like, use AI, those choices are going to ripple out across the whole world.
It's not just the tech, though, right?
Hmm.
Meta's made a big deal about their values like free speech, privacy, human rights. How do those values translate onto a global stage, especially when they're dealing with countries that don't necessarily share those values?
That's where things get really tricky. It's like they're constantly trying to stick to their principles while, navigating the demands of different governments. They've been criticized for letting misinformation and, like, hate speech spread on their platforms, but then they're also accused of censorship by others.
Yeah, it's a tightrope walk for sure.
It's a reminder that technology, it's never neutral. It can be used for good, but also for bad. The decisions Meta makes about how they design their platforms, how they moderate content, how they handle all that user data, those decisions have, like, real-world consequences for billions of people.
It's a massive responsibility.
Yeah.
But let's not just focus on the challenges. How is Meta using its tech to actually make a positive impact? I mean, we talked about them connecting people in underserved communities with internet.org. What else are they doing?
Well, they're also using their platforms to, like, support small businesses and entrepreneurs, giving them tools and resources to, reach more customers, manage their stuff, grow their businesses.
Yeah, that's huge.
Especially in developing countries where small businesses are, like, the heart of the economy.
Totally. It's great to see them using their reach and resources to, empower those businesses. That can really make a difference in communities, create opportunities.
Absolutely. And they're also involved in all sorts of, like, social impact projects, using their tech to tackle climate change, promote education, support disaster relief efforts.
It's a good reminder that tech can be a force for good.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just what they do, it's how they do it.
Right, right.
Transparency, being accountable, a real commitment to ethical development, that's all important to build trust with users, with the public.
Couldn't agree more. As Meta keeps growing and their influence grows, they really need to prioritize those values, show the world they're using their power responsibly, that they're actually trying to build a better future, not just for themselves, but for everyone.
I think this deep dive has really opened my eyes to the scale of Meta's ambitions and
Yeah.
just how big of an impact they're having on the world. They're not just a tech company, they're this global force shaping how we connect, how we communicate, even how we live our lives.
It has been fascinating exploring all this, I agree. And looking ahead, I'm really curious to see how Meta keeps changing, how they handle these, like, massive challenges they're facing, and how they ultimately use their technology to shape a future that hopefully benefits all of us.
This deep dive has given me so much to think about, and I'm sure our listeners are feeling the same way. Meta's at this crucial point, and the decisions they make in the next few years, they're going to affect us all.
It's true.
So thanks for joining us on this journey. We'll be back soon to explore another corner of the tech world. Until then, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and, keep imagining the future you want to create.
Couldn't have said it better myself.